Joining us now for more on this and other stories out of Washington, Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger. Good morning, sir.
Morning. How are you?
Appreciate you joining us this morning. Let's start by getting your reaction here to this news that Michael Cohen is expected to plead guilty.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know what to make of it. Obviously, with the story, it's been for a couple of years kind of changing, and you get all these little plea deals or not plea deals and trying to figure out how it all comes down. I don't think we're going to know, frankly, until we get the independent counsel report or until there's action in the courtroom. I can't imagine this is good for the president. But again, I don't know what the agreement is with Michael Cohen, what he knows and doesn't know. And it's definitely just one more, I guess, dramatic moment in this whole kind of 2 years of drama.
What are the ramifications, big picture, for the rest of the Republican Party? We saw a lot of gains by the Democrats in the House of Representatives at the midterms. And I'm just curious what not just this Cohen pleading guilty, but all of this the effect it has.
Well, I think there's no doubt there was some effect on this election. I think we're going to know the answer with Robert Mueller's investigation before the next election. And I think to be able to judge any kind of political is going to say, what does that special counsel report say? What does it say to Congress? And then depending on what that is, how does Congress react? I think this year it was a combination of a number of things. First off, the party in power always loses seats. But I think the number of seats we lost can be a result of the fact that the tone in politics today is not something people like. And, you know, while I like the policies of the president, the tone I don't like. And there's tone on both sides. I mean, even just yesterday, a state representative from the Democratic Party wanted to feed Legionnaire's disease to another. I mean, all this has to stop, and we have to have respectful debates. And I think part of the reason we may have lost certain seats in certain places was because of that tone coming from the top.
There's going to be a hearing for Foreign Affairs on Syria today, and you were going to join us to talk about that. You're going to bring up a Chicago native, a story that not most people have heard of.
Yeah, that's right. There's a young lady that was very much an aid worker in Syria. I believe I've met her before, and she was among a group of folks and a real big hero for Syria to go and help the Syrian people. Again, a Chicago native. We found out that she was killed, tortured to death by the Assad regime. And we found out that actually happened 2 years ago, and we just learned about it. So this is the kind of, you know, darkness that's going on in Syria. 500,000 dead Syrians, 50,000 of which are children. Many Syrians in the Chicago area that have a deep interest in their family over there, and so many of them have died. I met a person named Caesar who basically his family, it's a alias. His family has no idea he's alive, and he can't tell them. And they're back in Syria, and they'd die if they knew. So it's a terrible, tragic situation. That's just one more wrinkle in that.
What is the answer? Do you bring more money to the problem?
You know, I think right now we're at a point where we have to negotiate a solution, but that negotiation cannot leave Iran in power or Russia in power. And so that means you have to push back against the Russians in other areas like Ukraine and make it very difficult for them to continue to have a presence outside of their country. It's a weak economy. I think it's that. I think there's rebuilding money to areas that's not in the regime-controlled territory, because that legitimizes the regime. And ultimately, the Syrian people, just like the American people, have a right to determine their future. You mentioned, and I think Bashar al-Assad has to go.
You mentioned Ukraine here. Just real quickly, I want to get your thoughts on President Trump's potential upcoming meeting with Vladimir Putin. You've said in the past that you wish the president was a little more vocal with criticism to Russia. Do you think that he should be meeting with Vladimir Putin?
Well, I probably wouldn't meet with Putin, but I'm not against him meeting with him so long as he holds to a very tough line. The last meeting with Putin didn't go so well. That press conference was actually kind of embarrassing. So I think if he holds to a very strong line with Putin, there's no doubt the actions of this administration against Russia have actually been pretty intense. He just needs to match the rhetoric with it right now.
All right, Representative Adam Kinzinger, we appreciate you joining us this morning.
You bet. Yep, see you guys.